Oh, well, hello there, you beautiful, wonderful, creative, intelligent human being. I'm Andrea Dawn, and today we are here exploring more yoga asana, or the physical part of the yoga practice. And this physical part of the yoga practice was designed for us to create a strong and steady seat so that we could develop a meditation or a dhyana practice. And regardless of which path of yoga we follow, whether it be karma yoga, jnana yoga, karma yoga, hatha yoga, Patanjalian yoga, it doesn't matter. Most of these practices require us to have a dhyana or a meditation practice. So let's take a little deeper look today into Sphinx pose. Each posture in the physical yoga practice has a Sanskrit name ending in asana. Asana means seat or posture, and today we will explore Salamba Bhujangasana, also known as Sphinx. When we break down the Sanskrit, we see Salamba, which means supported, Bhujanga, which means snake or serpent, and asana, seat or posture. I could not find much history related to this posture. Regardless, I find it to be a very worthwhile posture to incorporate into our practice for spine health. It is interesting to note that the Sanskrit translation does not correlate with the English translation and is perhaps simply a Western addition because the shape of the posture certainly looks like a sphinx. This posture can be both restorative and active dependent upon how you engage with it. Salamba Bhujangasana is usually practiced as a preparatory posture for back bends and often practiced towards the beginning of an asana practice. And this brings us to the why behind Sphinx pose. The correlating why behind all postures is to develop a strong seat. We must learn to sit comfortably in order to attain one-pointed focus, whether that focus be on our mantra, Ishvara, or an object of our choosing. When the physical body demands our attention, our focus is distracted, and therefore the concentration required to strengthen the mind is broken. Practicing asana is wonderful and will benefit us, yet those benefits can only go so far dependent upon the practitioner's truest desire. When the desire is to do asana for the sake of simply being good at asana, this will lead to disappointment and more attachment to believing yourself as only the physical body. It is a fact that we will grow old and our physical bodies will deteriorate. At some point, the desire must shift from asana attainment to Atman, or true self attainment, with a capital S. Salamba Bhujangasana is an excellent posture to practice for the spine health required to hold your seat. This posture strengthens and lengthens the spine, stretches the chest, abdomen, and shoulders, stimulates digestion and abdominal organs, and can strengthen the entire back body dependent upon your engagement. Sphinx pose is an excellent pose to practice for better posture, to counter the tendency we have to hunch forward, and to prepare for deeper back bends. Salamba Bhujangasana can have symbolic, metaphoric, and meaningful significance to our own personal whys. When we consider the Sanskrit translation of the posture, we first see Salamba, which translates as supported. And this word is the ticket for me in this posture because we will have the opportunity in the upcoming posture of Bhujangasana or Cobra to identify with the cobra and its significance. I resonate with the importance of support. This posture is a support to attain our seat. It is a support to develop good posture, of which affects the way you be in this world. When we walk through our days with an open heart and chest and an uplifted gaze versus a slouched, closed heart and chest and downward gaze, the experience we will have is very different. We can also consider the support we give and receive on a daily basis. This support may be through friends and family, our human brothers and sisters, and can also be the support of the earth underneath our feet, the support of our rivers, oceans, soil, trees, air, plants, insects, animals, and so on and on and on. Understanding and appreciating our daily giving and receiving of support is like having a built-in gratitude guide. When we get lost in doubt and fear and liking and disliking and complaining and the like, we can remember to be found in all of the support of love and trust and goodness that is always there for us, just awaiting our recognition. What we choose to see and be present with will support either our hell or our happy. And I want to go back to that part of transitioning in the yoga asana practice for practicing to be good at yoga to attaining liberation. Because once we start to realize that all of life is suffering, that running around chasing our desires, running towards our likes, running away from our dislikes, being stuck in our complaining with what's wrong with each moment, we get to a place where we see that it doesn't matter what we acquire or what goal we accomplish. That's not true happiness. And that discovery is the beginning of our spiritual journey. And then we can decide, oh, it's actually really important for me to develop a strong seat because I am in charge of developing the tool of my mind, which is the lens of which I see this world. If I don't develop it, the world will. Right? If I'm not the one choosing what to put into it, the world will put in probably consumerism, especially if you're like me and from the West. And then that is the lens of which you will see the world. So it is so important that we develop our intellect so that our intellect can then steer our mind. Otherwise, it's the senses doing the driving. And you are controlled by all of the external stimuli of which your senses will go from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And it's endless. Endless samsara of life, birth, and death. And if we ever want to get off that wheel, if we ever want to attain liberation, our first step is learning to sit. And it's okay to be on that step. So let's do a little demo of our Sphinx pose because this is such a helpful posture in developing a strong spine. So I'm going to have to move this sweet little kitty. This is Kazuko. So that we can get into our Sphinx pose. And we're going to start in crocodile pose, which is another posture that's helpful for spine health. It's a little less intense, which is why we're going to start there. So you'll come down onto your belly, spread your legs about, mats with distance, feet splayed out to the side. Place one hand on top of the other, forehead down onto the stacked hands. And then we'll just start with a little shimmy of the hips from side to side. Bend the knees, circle out the legs. Good, and now we'll prepare for our Sphinx pose, or our Salamba Bhujangasana. So walk the feet so that they're about hip width distance, meaning the heels will be in line with the butt bones. Press down through the tops of the feet. Lift the kneecaps and engage the quads. Engage the glutes, and we'll come back to this. I hear many different cues from instructors, so when you hear different cues, give them all the opportunity to be explored, right? Because all of our bodies are different. So it's important that we hear them, try them, and then choose what's right for us. Okay, but we want to start by supporting our low back. So we're going to start with that engagement in the glutes. And then come on up onto the forearms. Align the elbows slightly forward of the shoulders and slightly more narrow of the shoulders. And then press the tops of the hands down. Good. Now from here, lift the chin. So we're not lifting the chin up, but we're not looking down. So think about the neck being an extension of the spine. Good. And then from there, make sure that you're not kind of slouching into your shoulders, but you're pressing through your forearms. Now we'll start to play with the butt engagement or the glute engagement. So you can totally relax them, see what that feels like. Totally engage them, see what that feels like. Or be somewhere in the middle, which is my preference, somewhere in the middle. I have some low back stuff, so for me, I find slight engagement helpful. Okay, and then from there, another place of exploration is the hands and the way that you're pressing. So you can press down and forward, see what that does. Press down and back and see what that does. And maybe what you're looking for is a little traction of the spine. And as you do that, either way, you can draw the shoulders back and draw the sternum forward. And then once you kind of find a place that feels like, okay, this is not too much, but I definitely feel enough feeling, then you'll hold and start to work on your breath. A way that you can increase feeling or sensation in the posture is to walk the elbows back so they're directly underneath your shoulders. You could place a blanket under your forearms. And if you want a little less or a little bit more support, you could place that same blanket underneath your hip points. Other variations might include bending one knee, bending the other knee. It might include reaching around. And for this, then I recommend glute engagement, maybe taking hold of one foot and adding a quad stretch in this posture. To come out of the posture, you're simply gonna walk your hands back to chest level, lower back down, bend the knees, circle out the legs. And that is our Sphinx pose. So I hope that was helpful. And again, coming back to the why behind each posture is so important so that you can enliven each posture with your why. And that makes the posture way more powerful and potent in your life so that you can really begin to change your thoughts, which in turn will change the way you feel and be in the world. So our thoughts are either klishta or aklishta. So if we've heard of the kleshas, and if you haven't, you can go on to previous YouTube videos. I have a whole section on the kleshas or the reasons why we suffer. So meaning if our thoughts are klishta, they are relating to that suffering. So they are helping or giving power to that suffering. If they're aklishta, then they're taking away from that suffering. So it's a way to observe your thoughts. Is this thought part of my suffering, or is this thought taking me away from my suffering? So a little tangent there. But any hoozle, this is a powerful part of the yoga practice to really begin to observe the thoughts and whether they're adding to the quality of your moments. Always, always a blessing, honor, and privilege. My heart sees and feels and smiles to yours.